So during the presidential visit to the United States for the high-level meetings of the 7th session of the United Nations, one of the Nigerians in diaspora was seen trying to get the attention of the president, saying that the president should commodify the Naira with cassava. We'll have the individual with us in a moment. His name is Mr. Ayodeji Bakare, popularly known as Bengali, and he'll be joining us in a moment. But first, what are your thoughts on this? Nigerians have had mixed reactions concerning the fact that our president has been going around trying to get foreign direct investment into the nation. Some have thought it was a great idea. Others are saying that, are you sure we need these people to come in, create industries, and still export the dollar back to their country? So there are different angles to this conversation. But when this man came up with the idea that, you know what, why don't we commodify cassava? Of course, the video went viral yesterday, but we've been bringing him on to even give us a clearer picture of what his proposition is. But in the meantime, let's have a conversation concerning it. You can call us on 081-07641-679-090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag Yourview TVC so we can read the tweet. What struck me more about this video is the fact that he's not one of those Nigerians that are just complaining. He seems to have actually thought through solutions. One of those people that said, I don't have access to this president, but if I can just catch him and just get a glimpse of him to tell him, this is my own idea. I don't have to do a document and send to your table and hope that somebody will give it to you. But back to let me send it to him. And then with this, our guest that just left, the pineapple guy, that's part of what this guy is saying, that we have produce in Nigeria that can actually be exported. What are your own thoughts on the video, and how do you think the government should react or respond to this?
Ayodeji Bakare, popularly known as Bengali, was around during the election, and he clearly knew where his support was. He stood by this president and he supported his ambition to become president. But he didn't rest there. He's one of those who have ideas on what to do. I didn't think of it until I saw the video trending on Twitter yesterday. People are abusing and saying, why didn't he use Agbado? Why didn't he use this? And then I went to, of course, Google things. And I saw that other countries have since moved out. The way petroleum has ensured that the dollar doesn't become a valueless currency. You know, and this arrangement was done in arrangement with the Saudi Aramco and using OPEC as a platform. We continuously trade our petroleum products in dollars, and you know, enriching the dollar, strengthening the dollar as against our money. Somebody is now bringing an idea of what else we can commodify that will give us. Other countries have done it. I saw Brazil, I saw Malaysia, and sadly, Malaysia doesn't pay me well because it's palm oil. It's palm oil. The palm oil that was the strength of my region in the past, we did not even grow it. Now today, somebody else's country, sadly they said the fruit was taken from here today, but they've grown it, they've industrialized it, they've commodified it. And he's coming to say something that is common here should be used. And on Twitter, Nigerians is not seek to understand.
Before I let you go forward, if I come to you, Mariam, there was a point you said, which I forgot to talk about, the fact that many thought it was negative. They wanted it to trend, like the guy was disturbing president, was talking, so they had no clue. So for them, it was just like, there's a guy that was saying that you should commodify. They had no idea what commodification was. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, it's actually a good thing. So it went viral for the plan for the wrong reason was to let it go viral. But unfortunately, so what are your thoughts on this?
So for me, I feel that this is somebody that obviously is thinking about solutions. You know, many times we'll sit here and we'll say, we have heard the problems. They are not new to us. Can we hear solutions? And many times, some people that have come here as experts, when you try to hit them up on solutions, silence, you know. So it's good to find, I really like this conversation of where we're looking for solutions and how to do things better. So commodification of the currency as against cassava. I know nothing about cassava and how the exportation, the value is, you know, in the market. So if it is something that is that strong, so because you have to look for the commodity that has like a really high value, especially that is able to earn you foreign exchange, you know. So if it says cassava, I guess this would mean that the economics team will be sitting down looking at the different commodities, maybe even outside cassava, something that we grow exclusively or in very large quantities, that we export in very large quantities and earns us foreign exchange. And then government can now put in the necessary investment in that industry to earn us money. Because we are here struggling, you know, constantly to be able to have to make sure that the value of our currency is improved.
Yeah.
And many of the policies that that we have put out there, Nigerians are struggling with it. And really, we're just trying to see how do we earn more currency. And if I look at it, everything else that we have tried, like what other thing can we do that will earn foreign exchange in such a short period of time that it will make an impact for us positively? So this looks like something that should be discussed with him and with also the economic team and see how it can work for our country.
So when I saw the video, it just reminded me of that lady in the Bible who wanted to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. If I can just... The crowd was so much, she was pushing. If I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will get my miracle. And this has opened up a conversation that hopefully will give us a miracle. But this is not a new conversation. I remember during Obasanjo's time, he was big on cassava. I think he had some policies. I'm not very sure right now how far they went with those policies. We've always known that cassava was a commodity that would bring us foreign exchange, right? But I really do not know why his policies and plans were not in continuum, because he was already making, some impact when it came to cassava. You see anybody who's selling land, we're planting cassava. It was a vibe. So for me, it's not a new conversation. It's just that now we need to ask ourselves, what do we have in our hands as Nigerians? The crude obviously has failed us, not because God has not replenished it, but because we have mismanaged it. There's a lot of stolen crude. Even when we catch the people who are stealing it, we blow it up. The one we're supposed to sell and make money, we can't refine ourselves. So we have made a mess of that natural resources. Now we have to start looking, what other things can we do? That it's not just about government taking charge of it. We have seen how government will likely make a mess of it. But how can government partner with private people? This pineapple guy is a private person who's running a business. Are there any cassava farms? Are there anywhere we can empower farmers to go into this? It's not only cassava, cocoa. He mentioned cocoa here. He mentioned palm oil. Let's not just pick one product and just sit on it. Let's diversify. We are rich in natural resources. Our gold is being thrown away in places like Zamfara. Foreign people are coming there, illegal mining with helicopters. We know these things, but we're not ready. So let's open the conversation away from crude oil and see what we can do. And I hope that this miracle that we have, started suspecting would happen, that the people who, with the government, will not think because this is not coming from us, let us silence it. Because that's also another aspect that affects us.
Recently, my husband has a product he was trying to work on, and we had to go sit down with a company, an Indian company. And he was willing to work with us. He said, you know what? Nigeria has been good to us. We repatriate billions of dollars every year.
Our money.
Now, to him, he was trying to say that he's so happy that Nigeria has been here over 100 years. And he was saying it with pride. But me and my husband, we were really sad.
Did you see the picture of the grandfather, father?
Yeah, we're quite sad. So your company, over 100 years old in this country, has been taking billions of dollars. We don't really focus on the fact that even almost all the major companies we have, many of them that are foreign,
Indians.
They are carrying this money, dollar out. That's what's removing. We're now fighting that dollar and naira is 1,000 naira. Why would it not be 1,000 naira? But there's scarcity. Even the cable stations we have, many of these don't belong to us. The phones, the companies we have, some of them are not Nigerian.
Even
so they carry the revenue out.
Yeah.
They don't even bring the dollar here so that we do any kind of exchange. We still do not have dollar. The only commodity that brings dollar in is our petroleum. And this world order, whatever that, that professor explained to us, ensures that it is traded in dollars. So it doesn't enrich us. We have the resources, but it's not going to empower our people. Yesterday, my neighbor was complaining that everything is expensive. Nigerians are suffering. And they were saying, are we going to continue like this? And I said, sadly, we are going to continue like this because we don't have anything to exchange for this so-called currency that is superior to everything. What Ayo is saying is, when I checked out cassava is the root for most things. Spirits, beer, beverages, so many. You can get so many resources from cassava. That's why when Obasanjo tried to float it, they started with cassava flour. To ensure that we have cassava baking. They popularized it. This agency was working. I'm trying to remember the name. Was working. They were doing the adverts on TV, encouraging people to stop from the regular wheat flour to cassava flour. as an alternative. And we know that when we export this thing, we then insist this is the currency for trading.
Right.
It doesn't come under this so-called world order, except
USD.
our people are still looking, to buy, to import foreign tastes and, elite products that we usually source dollar for. But if we insist, the Naira will eventually start to gain strength. That's the good for me. That's the only thing I want to see. I want to live a lifetime where people would respect the Naira again. And if we can do that with commodifying...
Now we have with us on the show Mr. Ayodeji Bakare. Good morning, Ayodeji.
Good morning, Morayo. Good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So, you somewhat accosted the president in America. Uncle, why didn't you just write a letter to the president? Why did you feel the need to, enter into him while he was walking to share your thoughts? Tell us about that experience.
Well, I would say it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and I took the bull by its horn. I knew what I wanted to say specifically because we all can admit, we know that the Naira is faltering, and how can I fix that problem? And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave where I stay and go to New York and have just that 15 seconds, just 15 seconds. I needed just 10 to 15 seconds to pass my information across, and I clearly stated those words, so it keeps on ringing a bell in the minds of the president and that of his team. Commodification
of the Naira.
Naira.
Cassava.
And then that commodity called cassava. So those three, I strongly believe that as I said that, I've planted that seed in the team.
No pun intended.
So they know what I'm
So tell Nigerians what you mean by it. Let's now discuss it. Tell us what you mean by it.
Okay, so basically, it is just saying, I want cassava to be traded in the Naira, and I want Naira to be backed by cassava. Now, why am I saying cassava? I'm saying this because Nigeria produces about 25% of the global cassava, but we don't play internationally. We produce about...
Yikes. Hello? Ayodeji, we can't hear you. Oh, yikes. Hello? Okay, I think we're having...
National market.
Ayodeji, we didn't hear you. All we heard was 25%. Hello? Ayodeji, you have to start over, please.
What did you say?
We didn't hear you. All we heard was Nigeria produces 25% of cassava globally, and we don't play internationally. That's all we heard. We didn't hear anything else. So please start over.
Okay. We actually produce 25% of the total cassava in the world. And that is about 63 to 65 million metric tons. Now, we don't play internationally, and we have the comparative advantage. And I'm like, why can't we trade cassava in the Naira by playing internationally? Because if you look at Malaysia, for example, palm oil is traded in Malaysian ringgit because Indonesia and Malaysia are countries that produce the most palm oil globally. About 90% of the global palm oil, they produce it. And then you look at Brazil, Brazilian real, that is what is used to trade beef, which is selling for about 16 real per kg today as we speak. And then the dollar is used to trade crude oil. That's at $94 per barrel today. So I'm like, if Nigeria, because cassava is widely grown in Nigeria with little to no efforts per se. I'm like, why can't we play in that atmosphere? And why can't we use that to stabilize the Naira? Because it's related to monetary policy. This is monetary policy. I want the Naira to be stable. Let me make this clear. I'm not really bothered about Naira being strong or weak. Okay. I just want the Naira to be stable so that it boosts investor confidence, both local and foreign investors. Thank you.
Yeah. So I like what you just said. We want the Naira to be strong and reliable as well. But do you think that the issue we had with the crude oil, for instance, was because we were not able to properly position ourselves in the international market, or the fact that we allowed corruption? Because if there was no corruption, do you think we'll be where we are today? And how do you think also that we can, start to commodify this cassava and probably other produce without falling into the same trap we fell into with the crude oil?
Thank you very much. This is a very fantastic question. And I would say Nigeria suffered from what is called the Dutch disease. I repeat again, the Dutch disease in the 70s, where we stumbled upon lots of crude oil and we forgot about our manufacturing and our agriculture. And that was as a result of the Israeli and Arab War in the early 1970s, and they placed an embargo on Arab oil. And by that happening, we had lots of money, and the leader at the time said it's not about how much we make, it's how to spend it. That's our problem. So with crude oil, we've already made that mistake already. Now, with cassava, already agriculture controls about 25%, or 22 to 25% of our GDP. Cassava also, commodifying cassava is saying, hey, we are strong here. We want to play in the big market here. Cassava also, it's a domino effect. It is not something that we're just going to wake up and say, hey, start trading. We have to show that we can produce that amount of cassava, because even though we have comparative advantage, we are doing, I would say, not so well or not so great in our yield. Currently, Nigeria's yield on cassava is about 10 metric tons per hectare. Now, we should be doing about 40 metric tons per hectare. Now, even if we're not doing so well or whatever, we should be doing 20, but we are doing 10. So we have to show that we can actually produce that amount of cassava. Cassava has lots of derivatives, which maybe during this conversation we'll get there. But we have to, we just have to ensure that we put all the necessary things in place to show that, yes, we have the capacity to produce it first. We have to produce the cassava first.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we can now say, okay, yes, we can play in the international, because the whole idea is to play in the international game.
Right. Okay. Let me get a few more
Locally,
questions for
we
you.
already have satisfied our...
Yeah, so,
Go ahead.
from your response, really, it's like answering the question I was supposed to ask. And is that there's some things that we have to put on ground, before we can say we are trading internationally with this particular product. I mean, I just got some information that's saying that there's potential to earn annually 2.98 billion naira if we were to properly do this, from cassava. I'm looking at this vis-a-vis all the investments we're asking to do with our moribund, refineries, and the way we're talking about, we don't have the money to even put into this. How much of money, how much loan do we need to get to put into this moribund refineries? Maybe now we should be looking at how to use that money and invest in the cassava industry and see how it yields us money, and then the returns from it we can put into our refineries, So there's diversification and also earning enough money to be able to do other things. What do you think?
Now, one of the derivatives of cassava, one of the key derivatives is ethanol. For example, you can make ethanol from cassava, you can make ethanol from corn. Now, what is ethanol? Ethanol is basically liquor. And what is the liquor or the alcohol? Just add the ethanol with derivatives and sweeteners and all of that. Now, what you come to find out is that already, if we have that cassava coming in, or we're producing that much cassava, you would see a spawn of events whereby people will come and want to invest in refining that cassava into ethanol. And then we're going to have distilleries coming into Nigeria because the raw material is here. So rather than going to, because Nigeria spends about $300 million importing liquor, alcohol beverages and all of that annually, at least $300 million.
Wow.
So they are going to come and want to invest in Nigeria. Yes, they are going to come and want to invest in Nigeria because the raw materials is not readily available. So it is about refining the cassava into ethanol, because today ethanol sells for about $2.39 per gallon. We are not playing in the ethanol market worldwide. Ethanol can also be used for our petrol. We call it gasoline or petrol or fuel, where you add about 10% so that it can burn cleaner, and then it's going to help the environment. You have a cleaner environment, and as such, you are going to increase the lifespan of Nigeria. So it is just multifaceted of how this can work. So that's why I just gave the example of ethanol. This is a revolution. It could be our agriculture. It could be our revolution that we've been talking about. It is. Let us not. I understand sesame seeds, corn, and so many. Because wheat, for example, because wheat is a competitor. Nigeria imports 99% of its wheat, and that is why when there is any issue as regards wheat, you're like, oh, the people that are producing bread are going to increase our prices. Everything is all going up, and everything is all expensive. But what about the wheat blending with the cassava flour? That will bring down the price. So it's a domino effect.
Right. Let me get a few more questions.
I hope I'm able to use the narrative to answer your question.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mr. Ayo, let me be formal. Some people will argue that the country needs dollars, and whether we trade cassava in dollar or naira doesn't matter, because what they want is dollars to offset this dollar debts that we have across the country. Our airlines are shouting, foreign airlines are shouting that Nigeria has not paid back some of the dollars that they've used to trade to come here to work and all of that. How would you respond to those who say it doesn't matter whether naira or dollar, let's just trade and get the foreign the FX that we need?
Now, thank you for this particular question. It's a very philosophical and psychological question, in the sense that the people that are talking this way, respectfully, are still thinking from an importation mindset. We have to get off that and start thinking exportation, because when you keep worrying about Forex, we need Forex, we need Forex. What do you need Forex for? Yeah, you need Forex to import, for the most part. That is like, it could be educational tourism, it could be buying materials into the country. But now imagine when there's a demand for our naira. Imagine when our naira is boosting investor confidence. So an investor looks at it and says, oh, they're trading in naira here. I like this currency. The currency is stable. Because let me say something here. According to the Big Mac Index, naira should be trading for between 650 and 700 naira. That is the true value of the naira today. And the Minister for Finance, or the Ministry of Finance and CBN, can agree with me on this. It is 650 to 700 naira. That is the true value of the naira. What we are seeing today is the artificial scarcity. We are seeing currency speculation. We are seeing round tripping. A lot of people have lost confidence in the naira, so they are going to go and mop up the dollar, and that is jacking up the prices. So I would say, in this case, imagine people demanding our naira. We want to go and buy cassava globally. We have to change that our currency into naira to buy that cassava. We want to sell. We are the ones selling naira, so it's going to come free. So look at it that way. Imagine crude oil being sold in naira, and tell me how that would do to our economy. Now say, okay, it's crude oil. Now remove the crude oil, even though they start with C, the letter C. Now put cassava there. Now let's begin to think that way. Cassava industry already is about 50 billion, and they predict that in the next 20 to 30 years, it's going to go to hundreds of billions of dollars. So this is the time to start planning to play in that market. Right. We have the comparative advantage, and that's why I said cassava. Thank you.
Bangali, let me come to the critics of the president who have said that going around looking or shopping for FDI is not the right approach, because many believe that when they come into the country, they're likely to, even probably if their revenue is likely to, they're going to ship out their revenue back to the individual countries. That you shouldn't be looking for FDI. The fact that he's going around to India, UAE, having a conversation with them, even to the US, talking to all these big companies. Do you think that is wrong? His supporters are saying, however, even though they might not come in with the FDI, but it's important for the the Nigerian posture to tell to the international community that they are ready for business, that it's not like business is not like before, how there was corruption and all that, that he is here for business. So what do you think, what do you make of his plan or his strategy of getting foreign direct investment into the country from these various countries?
Okay, so now let us look at it this way. What is FDI? FDI is foreign direct investment. What is LDI? Local direct investment. It's just saying, if I want to do business, I want to make profit. Just think of it like, oh, I want to go into an air business, I want to go into a car business. You put money into it, you want to make profit. FDIs just want to make profit. But we need the funds, we need the finance of the FDIs to create jobs for Nigerians. Because they cannot create jobs. The government can only create an enabling environment through security, through infrastructure, the right policies, the right regulation, and working on our multiple taxation. So those are the things that the government will do to improve ease of doing business and attract investors. We need those investors. I want him to go out there and go and source for more money. Okay, now we are complaining that we don't have dollars, we don't have forex. Where do you think the forex will come from? It's going to come from foreign direct investments. It's going to come from foreign portfolio investments. It's going to come from grants. It's going to come from the diaspora, and it's going to come from exports. So I disagree with the people. I understand where they're coming from, but I disagree with them when you're saying that they're critiquing why it's going for looking for FDIs, looking for investors. We need investors. Companies don't just spring up from nowhere. We need them to bring their money to come and do business in Nigeria. Remember, it is when value is added to a raw material or a semi-finished good that jobs are created. You add value, and the investor is going to come in and definitely is going to be adding value to whatever material or product is making and or manufacturing. And that is why I believe it's on the right track. Go to the UAE, go to the US, go to Europe, go to Australia, like when I spoke with the minister, Dele Alake, I think the next day, we talked about solid minerals. We talked about a bunch of very different things, and especially solid minerals. We're seeing what it's doing, exchange, that is educational programming with Nigeria and Australia, because Australia is really big in mining. By doing that also, you are trying to say also Nigeria is also open for business. Now, it is just, we're a market. People come and buy our market. Yeah. That's it pretty much. Bring your money, come and buy our market. That's it.
Yeah, so some persons have said that we are trying to jump the gun by not handling the most important issues first, which is insecurity. We know that we have a bit of food scarcity in some parts of the country right now because farmers have been sacked from their farms. Everybody is relocating, they are being kidnapped, they are being killed. So even if we say, let's bring back this cassava, the farms that are going to be used for the cassava planting will require locals to handle that sort of, production. And if we don't sort the insecurity issues, we may still end up in having the same problem and not getting any headway. If a farm, no matter the technology that's deployed there, the mechanisms that are used there, and people are not ready to work because they're afraid of their lives, we may not be able to get anywhere. What do you think about it?
Cows eat cassava.
Yes, and cows eat cassava as well.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. This is a very sensitive question. And to the the ladies that were kidnapped in Zamfara, our thoughts and prayers are with you all and your families, and we hope that we are rescued. Now, to the case of insecurity. Insecurity is caused majorly by not having the right education, not having the right employment. Those are the two major reasons why you have insecurity. And maybe not having enough social welfare programs, basically. Those are the three things here. Now, we've always been bedeviled with these issues. I really don't want to dwell on them because most Nigerians already know that we have this insecurity problem. Now, it is how do we solve this insecurity problem? Now, there are two ways of solving the problem. You have administrative solutions and engineered solutions. These people causing the insecurity, you have to bring them to the table. Now, let me give an example. This is just my idea. It may not work at all, but I hope the government is listening to it. We talk about banditry in the north, for example. Banditry majorly is caused by this illegal mining. I say it any and everywhere. You can say it, some certain people fighting against themselves for, what's it called, for ethnic reasons and all of that. But it is basically that illegal mining. Why don't you call these guys that are doing this illegal mining, that are the bandits and all of that, tell them, go and create a company. Be the middleman. Let's formalize you. Let's formalize you. Let's beautify you. Go and create your own office and be the middleman. Drop your arms. You may have solved that problem by telling them, drop your arms. We know you are doing this. Well, create a company. Now, the engineered solution, obviously, is using force. We need more education. We need to provide employment for these people. Now, with that being said, even with the arable land that we have, how many people are actually farming? What is paid is paid. How many of us are actually farming? Let us look at places that are not in this security, red security areas and all of that. The places that are green. Have we maximized the potentials of these areas? Right. Let's maximize the potential.
Unfortunately, Bongali, I have to cut you at this time. We've run out of time. Our next guest is already on standby. I do apologize. But we need to bring you back on because I think there's so much we can still engage you on to discuss. Maybe we'll bring you as often as possible. But it was really, really nice of you to join us this morning. I know it's still 4 a.m.-ish where you are. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Go back to sleep now, sir.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we're bringing another guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
The DSP Bright Edafe. Good morning, sir. Pro Delta State Command.